Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It is the final game week of the 2023-2024 season, and I hope you're ready for what's coming up. So let's get into it, starting as usual with the table. So it all looks pretty well set. A 60-point lead for Fataliteam, looking to finish off the season strong with his 20th consecutive appearance at the top of the table. If he stays on this week, 60 points is a big difference, but there's still a triple captainship outstanding, so possibility that a good play of that could change things around, but let's see how that goes. Third place also looking pretty secure there, 50 points between second and third and fourth, and then gets a little tighter as we go into 4, 5, and 6, so very, very gettable. Fatih managing to move up in this last game week here after being tied with Hassan. So now moving into seventh space and looking to see how she can maintain that. And Squish down there at the bottom with Mubin in ninth. Now looking at the cup as well, excitement all around. So we said goodbye to the siblings in the preliminary round. But then in the quarterfinals, another 4 dropping, of course, brought us to last week's exciting semifinals, in which we lost the Coconut Starin and Onana. That's my name, meaning this week's final has me, yay, against a Fataliteam in the Durbanites Cup final. Super exciting stuff coming up this week. Looking at how that played out, of course, over the weeks. So the quarterfinal round had pretty big gaps, pretty much all in the double figures, but the semifinals was a very tight affair. 5 points separating the Chiefs and Coconut Starin, and just 3 points separating Fataliteam and Onana. Very, very slim margins, which brings us to the final, of course, and the crowning of the champion after today's final games of the season. Now, looking at what that means for our player selections, look at the staples, guys. We are pretty much mirroring teams here. Cole Palmer and Alexander Isak in 10 out of 10 teams on the league so far. Phil Foden in 9, Pickford in 8, then Anthony Gordon in 7 out of 10, and then Ben White, De Bruyne, and Erling Haaland in 6 out of 10 teams. So at least 6 out of 10 managers have the same players in their team. It is extremely, extremely tight margin. So there are about 3 or 4 players on the field and possibly another 4 on the bench that are going to make a difference here. Looking at some of those that make the difference, Kyle Walker is one this week, getting 13 points from his double game week. Only one manager having him, same as Emmanuel Akanji with 12. Brian Mbuemo, a great surprise in midfield, coming in also with 12 points. Just one manager having faith in that in him, and Johan Wissa with 2 managers taking a chance on him. Brentford doing really well right now, so really, really good points coming there. Both of them getting into double figures. Outstanding player of the week, of course, Josko Guardiola. Congratulations to the 3 managers that decided to go with him. 27 points on that particular game week. And then Pedro Porro for Spurs, even though Spurs are having the worst time of it, he did manage to get a goal and managed to get into the double figures for this game week. So 3 out of 10 managers scoring there. Now, looking at the hits and misses, there's a bit to speak about this week. So we necessarily don't have Centurions because a lot of chips played in the week, which meant that 8 out of 10 teams crossed the triple figure threshold. So congratulations to all of those that scored in the 100th. So we left that one out, but we want to talk a little bit about the forward line. So 3 teams managing to go ahead and get 40 plus points from the strikers, mainly including Erling Haaland in there. So doing really, really well. And then looking at the midfield, 50 plus points from Azra and Ami, both of them having captained Cole Palmer, so really well done from him as well as having a strong midfield otherwise. She's back, guys, for the second last game week of the season. The titanium wall is back. 50 plus points from her backline. I don't know how she does it. Time after time, Squish has pulled it up. She's probably going to end up with the best defense in the league. But it's amazing to get 50 points from her backline. It's not often happen. Then from the defense again, on the iron wall side, more than 30 points. You've got Mohamed Zadik, Zax, Zai, Hassan, Bobs, Fatih, all of them coming through. A lot of them due to Josko Guardiola, but otherwise having really good faith in Akanji, the City defenders, as well as those that played twice in the week. And then, of course, Azra and Ami still getting 20 plus points, so earning the Stonewall title for their defense. Really good, valuable points from the defenders in this last game week. Looking at the misses, of course, as usual, they were hot bench misses here. So Zax, Fatih, and Squish all having plus 20 points sitting on the bench, and really did hurt Zax a little bit. She could have got a lot closer in the title race, but it is what it is. Let's look at what that means for our best possible selection. Starting at the back, Jordan Pickford again picks up this game week, 8 points, even though he played just once. So quite an amazing showing from him and Everton. But look at that back line. Walker, Guardiola picking up the captain's armband, of course, Pedro Porro and Akanji at the back. And then Brian Mbeumo getting a place, so really holding Brentford high, bringing him into the midfield with Foden, De Bruyne and Palmer. And then up front, Haaland and Wissa appearing again. Brentford, 2 players in there, knocking out, nobody from Liverpool in this team. So that shows you how well they have done. And then on the bench, you've got Andre Onana from United, having played 2 games and conceding, but also putting in a lot of saves. Saliba not getting onto the field this week, as is Rasmus Højlund and Anderson from Newcastle. So both of them sitting on the bench. Now, what that meant was 146 points were up for grab this week, including the bench. 177 for a reasonable cost of 89.6. So again, a very doable team. What happens this week, we still have to wait and see. So we have the fixture rating coming up. So looking at the fixtures, of course, just 1 week left, so it's very easy to look at it, not much planning. These are the teams that have the best fixtures on paper. You really want to look at the following though. Arsenal against Everton. Arsenal are in second place. They have to win to have a chance of getting the title. There's just no other option. I would suggest they're going to play a very open attacking style of football. They want goals, they want the win. A clean sheet is not going to mean anything to them at this moment in time, so they have to go hard. So you're looking at players that are on the attacking side as opposed to, and even their defenders as well, really going in. So Ben White is an example, so you want to really look at those. Aston Villa against Crystal Palace. So Villa are one of those teams that are really sitting in a comfortable position. They cannot move up, they cannot move down. They're confirmed for the Champions League, and they're playing Crystal Palace. It is possible that Ollie Watkins is going to go for it, of course, because he's trying to get himself in contention for the Golden Boot. He is very far away from Erling Haaland thanks to the latter's heroics over the last couple of weeks. However, he's the only one that has something to gain from this match. Otherwise, Aston Villa are pretty well set. You might look at some of the Aston Villa reserve players having a run, or maybe not. It's hard to say, but just advising that even though they have a pretty easy game, they have nothing to win or lose. So it might be a very different team that you see on the field. Chelsea are looking to jump into 5th place on an amazing season where they spent a lot of the time in the second half of the table, have been super resurgent, and probably have the second best run of form, except for Manchester City and Arsenal, who are undefeated in the last 5. And they have a game coming up, of course, against Bournemouth, and Bournemouth are currently struggling, and it's a home game for Chelsea. And if they win that and Spurs manage to let's say not get a result from Sheffield United at Sheffield United's ground, then it's very possible that Chelsea could spot into 5th place, which would be an amazing comeback for them for the season. Of course, Spurs are in a terrible run of form, 4 losses and a win in the last 5, and taking on Sheffield United away. So then you've got Liverpool. Liverpool again is one of those teams that have nothing to gain or lose. They are pretty set in 3rd spot. Villa will not catch them regardless of the results, and they will not catch Arsenal and or Manchester City. One thing for them though is it is going to be Jurgen Klopp's last game in charge of the club, so they will want to send him off with a big hurrah, and that means that they're going to go hard against Wolves, and even though they're playing that at Anfield, so it's going to be again one of the big games. And a 5 o'clock kickoff there, of course, as all the games. So it's possible they're going to put on the teams and put on a good performance. So if you have some Liverpool players, still look at them. So City at West Ham. West Ham are in probably the worst form currently. They have 3 losses, a win and a draw in their last 5, having won the only win coming against Luton at home last week. But this week they're taking on City at the Emirates. It's going to be a much more difficult situation. City cannot afford to draw this. If they do draw and Arsenal win, it is possible that Arsenal could take them in the title race. So they have got to go for the win. So it's going to be full throttle for City as well. Then you have Newcastle, who are still fighting with a chance to get into 6th spot, so to overtake Chelsea. But of course, if Chelsea win, there's no option for that. So it's really between Newcastle and Manchester United looking to hold on to 7th place and possibly the last European spot. And then you've got Forest, who are, don't forget, still fighting for relegation. Mathematically, it's going to be very tough, but it's not over. Forest, if they lose by a big margin, and Luton manage to win by also a big margin, a 12-goal shift could see Nottingham Forest being relegated this year. So it's not over. Thankfully, they have a game against Burnley. Vincent Kompany has said that he is definitely going to finish the season on a high, so looking for a win. So Forest are not clear. They're going to have a tough game. And then, of course, Tottenham Hotspur, who have been disappointing throughout the season after a great start. They're taking on Sheffield United, who have been relegated super early. Sheffield are going to look to do something special at home in their last Premier League game for this season, but Spurs do need the win after a very disappointing showing against Manchester City, especially in terms of the result. Now, looking at teams to avoid, Everton and Pickford, of course, come up. They are taking on Arsenal this week, guys. Pickford has been an absolute rock at the back. He's probably going to finish the season as the top goalkeeper in the Fantasy Premier League, but taking on Arsenal on a day when they have to win by as many goals as possible, he is going to have to be outstanding to stop Arsenal from taking the title, and Arsenal is going to be relentless. Same has to be said for Areola in the West Ham nets. I mean, taking on City, where City also have to win. These teams are going to come so hard. I just don't know. I don't know how I can tell you to actually choose anyone from those teams. Wolves are going to face Liverpool as well, and Liverpool are going to look to make it a big grandstand finish for Jurgen Klopp. So, guys, these three teams are definitely ones that you have to avoid. Brighton against United. Brighton are really struggling. A lot of defenders out. Estupinan is out. Dunk is out. So they're having a lot of trouble at the back. From their midfield, they've got Mitoma out. Solly March is out. So Pascal Gross is really holding that. And up front, I mean, they don't have Ewan Ferguson, but João Pedro's come back, not really on the greatest form, and they've got Danny Welbeck. But against Manchester United and a team that had a great win against Newcastle and also is fighting for that 7th spot just to make sure that they have a better finish this season, it's going to be a tough game for them. Bournemouth against Chelsea, on the current form, Bournemouth is really struggling, and Chelsea are definitely looking to get into the top 5, so tough games. Brentford against Newcastle. Newcastle are fighting to rescue a season that started off pretty well, but now they could slip into 8th position. So Brentford in good form, but Newcastle are going to come hard at them. Crystal Palace against Villa. This one is a little bit 50-50. I did say that Aston Villa don't have really much to play for on the last day, so we might get some reserves coming in. So Crystal Palace could technically get something out of this. And then, of course, Manchester United taking on Brighton. Just on their form, I would not put any United players onto the team. But of course, anything could happen, and they are definitely looking for something this week, but it's not an easy game against Brighton. They've not managed to beat Brighton in the Premier League over the last 2 seasons. Now, what does that mean in terms of players? So Robert Sanchez for Chelsea is probably not going to make an appearance. He's been out most of the season for injury and is not played, so he's not match fit. Edison is out from the City goal, so that is a big concern for City. And from the defenders, Botman is still out for Newcastle, but Ska is back and Trippier is back. Duncan and Estupinan, as we said, out for Brighton. Udogi is still out for Tottenham, and Maguire is out for United. Looking at who to pick, we want to look at possibly Vicario from Spurs. They have Sheffield United. He's a pretty good keeper, and Sheffield United are not scoring a lot of goals. Then you've got Alisson from Liverpool. Of course, Liverpool looking to have that big finish this week. And then Petrovic from Chelsea. Chelsea again fighting hard, and Petrovic has been pretty good in the net in the last few games. From the back line, also Chalobah and Gusto from Chelsea because of their attacking prowess. So not really looking for the clean sheet, but the opportunity to score from set pieces or put in those critical passes. Same for Trippier and Ska from Newcastle. Not really looking for the clean sheet bonus, but Trippier being the specialist on dead balls, and Ska also being super lethal on the set pieces. Then from the defense, Saliba, White, and Gabriel. I say it again, Arsenal are not going to be too defensively minded this week. There's nothing that can happen to them if they lose this game in terms of slipping out of second spot, but it's all to play for to win the title. So they are going to go super attacking. So these players, I would say maybe not so much Saliba, but White and Gabriel are also very, very good at scoring goals from set pieces. So ones that you want to watch. Then also looking at Manchester City, who are on the same go, Kyle Walker and Josko Guardiola. Guardiola has been insanely good in front of goal recently, so one that you might want to look at. And then you've got Romero and Porro for Spurs. These two defenders have been scoring in a lot of goals this season, so a fairly good option to look at if you have them. I wouldn't bring them in particularly, but I mean, Spurs have got to come right sometime, right? And then, of course, Liverpool looking for the big finish. So Trent Alexander-Arnold with these attacking runs and Virgil van Dijk, both are expensive options. But again, I didn't want to leave them out, considering that Liverpool will want to go for something today. Now let's look at the midfield as well. We've got Saka, who's doubtful for Arsenal after picking up a knock, same as Anthony Gordon. De Bruyne as well, all three picking up knocks in the last game. Richarlison is totally out for Spurs this week, as is Mitoma for Brighton, and Jota is doubtful for Liverpool. Now, Palmer for Chelsea is going to be critical, as well as Conor Gallagher and Noni Madueke. All of them could be involved, as Chelsea will go on the attack. Then you're looking at Foden and De Bruyne from City. They have been pairing up really, really well. And from Arsenal, you're looking at Saka possibly, but definitely worth having a look at Trossard and Havertz. These guys have been scoring, and if Arsenal is going hard for a win today, these are the routes to goals that are possibly going to make the difference. From Newcastle, Anthony Gordon, of course, even though he's got a knock, and then Bruno Guimaraes, the two players I would look at. For Liverpool, Salah and McAllister from that midfield. I would not recommend anyone from the forward line, but definitely Salah's again. It's probably going to be a little bit of a last hurrah for him. There are rumblings already that he's moving in the summer, so we still have to see. So I think he'll want to have a good farewell at Anfield if that's what it turns out to be. And then from Spurs, of course, you've got the three Sons there, Son, Maddison and Johnson. These are the guys who have been the most attacking, or the biggest attacking threat for Tottenham Hotspur at Sheffield United, who have conceded a lot of goals. So there's a chance here for them to actually go in and get some goals, finish on a high. Sheffield United, coincidentally, are just 2 goals away from the Premier League record of the worst defense ever. They are on 101 goals conceded in the season, a goal difference of -66. So if they concede 2 or more, they will have picked up the new record for the worst one. So they will be looking to shut up shop, but Spurs could possibly unlock them. And then from Nottingham Forest, who are in the fight for survival, you got Morgan Gibbs-White. He is really one of those players that through the season has been consistent in being a route to goal. So an option for those looking for a quick and a cheap pick for that midfield. And then, guys, finally getting to the forwards. As we said, Evan Ferguson is out from Brighton. Anthony Martial is doubtful for Manchester United, but for him as well, it's probably his last season. His contract is up. I see it's super unlikely that United will renew that, considering he's been really tough on injuries. Timo Werner's out for Tottenham Hotspur, and Callum Wilson's doubtful for Newcastle, but with Alexander Isak in place, I think it's okay. Isak, of course, has been the choice here. Wilson is still one that you might want to put on, considering that he is pretty effective when he plays. Erling Haaland and Nicholas Jackson have been the informed strikers in the last 5 weeks, so you want to really make sure that you have them if you do have them. And then you have Johan Wissa. Not the easiest game this week for Brentford, taking on Newcastle, but he has been on great form as well, and it's been a very good season for Johan Wissa, I have to say. And then Ollie Watkins looking to, again, pull himself apart from the big group that is following Erling Haaland. He'll want to have a good performance. He's not been on the greatest form, but he is one to look at. And then Chris Wood for Nottingham Forest. So he has been doing really well this season, really picking up crucial goals. And that's really all the picks we have for the forwards. So with that, guys, for almost the last time, all the best for the last game week. May the results go in your favor. And looking forward to coming back with a wrap-up of the week, firstly, to of course look at the awards, all the winners for the cups and the league, as well as all the final points reviews for the season. We'll also be covering things like the certain awards, so to speak, so the most valuable team in our league, based on the value of the players on the team in the last week, points per week average, so who's done the best in points per week over the whole season, considering not everyone's played every week this season. We're going to look at those that have been transfer happy, so the most transfers in the league as well. We're going to look at the best defense, best midfield and best forward line across the season, and then finally we're going to look at the best use of chips, so when people have used their triple captain, their wildcards, etc., and see what the impact was of those. So it's going to take a bit of time to get that analysis done, hopefully as soon as possible, but really looking forward to do that and be able to bring you that update. So for the last time, urging you to like, subscribe, and please do leave a comment if there's something else that you want to see on the wrap up of the season in terms of statistics or things that you would like us to point out. But after that one, we will probably take a small break now for the summer, of course, enjoying the Euro 2024, and then be back in mid-August or early August to start the ball rolling for the next season. Until then, hope you liked and enjoyed all of this. Until the next time.